This apple tree is out of control. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here today. It's the second week of May 2019. Now, we are going to be covering thinning of apple trees today because the tree behind me here is our Anna apple. So now I'm actually going to link a video here where we talked about the fruit set and the effect of our harsh winter and late frosts on fruit set. And I'll tell you what, this tree has not disappointed. Now, last year we had something similar happen, and this tree was really kind of an underperformer. Underwhelming would be a good way to put it. But this year, oh my goodness, is it producing and producing heavy. This tree has been in the ground for 4 years. It was one of the first trees we planted. In fact, we got this tree, I want to say, from Home Depot. It was a very, very small tree. They don't even sell them this way anymore. It came in kind of one of those cardboard pots that you can plant in the ground just with the pot. We took it out of the pot and planted it, but I have no idea what the rootstock is, but it was just a basic Home Depot Anna apple tree. So it is an Anna apple, and you can see the fruit set. So, you know, as Lori is in here close, I mean, so this is just the end of one branch that's really struggling to stay up right now. And it's got, what, 3, 6, there's 8 fruit on the end of the branch. We've got 4 more here. We've got 4 more here. The branch comes back here. There's a little offshoot over here. 4 more here. So I didn't keep track. It's a lot. And there are fruit everywhere on this tree. I've got branches that are trying to go into the ground. I've got one here that's almost touching the ground. You can see here, I mean, look at this. This is just ridiculous. There's fruit all over the place. So the tree itself has shed a few apples. There's a few apples down here on the ground. We've had some winds come through, nice strong winds that have come through and thin just a little bit. But for the most part, this 4-year-old tree is trying to hold on to all this production. Now, some of the branches are nice and upright and erect. They can hold a lot more than some of these ones that are pointing down. When we come through and we actually do our pruning in the wintertime, we try to avoid this by keeping branches that are pointing down pruned off. Obviously, I missed a few because there's still some pointing down. So now we need to help this tree out. What I don't want to do is I don't want to have branches breaking, number one. Number two, I want nice, big, healthy fruit, not little tiny baby fruit, not little ping pong size fruit. Not interested in that. You know, I want baseball size fruit. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually go through and thin, and I'm going to show you how we choose what we're going to thin. So thinning of apple trees, I don't just pull on branches. So one of the things about apples is apples grow, at least an Anna does, on fruiting spurs. So fruiting spurs look very similar to branches. If Lori wants to slide in, we talked about it in some of our pruning videos, but you'll see this is a fruiting spur right here. So this fruiting spur looks very similar to branches that are just going to come off and turn into branches as opposed to fruit. But they're thin, they grow very slowly from year to year, and they'll set fruit as they grow slowly at their tips every single year. And so each one of these is actually a spur. What comes off of that spur is multiple fruit will set after they flower, and then obviously they'll naturally drop a few, and sometimes they don't. So you can see I've got 3 fruit here, I've got 3 fruit here, I've got 2 fruit here. Overall on the tip of this branch I have too many. Typically when I'm looking at a spur, a fruiting spur, I usually want to keep 2 fruit in the end, finalize with 2 fruit, 3 at the most. 2 is kind of my goal, so I get nice big healthy fruit. So right off the bat, I'm going to have to come through here and decide what I'm going to keep and what I'm not. But I wanted to show you the fruiting spurs. So you've got those fruiting spurs. You want to make sure that you're not hurting when you're pruning. I also don't want to hurt them now because I want to have as much fruit off of this tree as I can. So what I'm using to thin, I'm using these shears. So I'll leave a link to our Amazon shop down below. These shears are in there under the pruning ideas. So you'll see this particular variety of pruner down there. It's a little 6-inch Fiskars micro pruner. These are fantastic for doing tasks just like this because they're nice and small. You can get in here close. I've got all this fruit literally dragging this branch down. If all of this fruit gets twice that size, which it will in the next month, it'll basically break the branch off. Not interested in that. First thing I want to look at is I want to look at each individual spur. So I've got all this fruit, but I want to look at one spur. So I've got 3 here. Now, right off the bat, I can see I've actually got 2 separate spurs. There's a spur on the end with 1 fruit, and there's a small spur back here. Might be hard to see on camera, but there's a small spur coming off down here that has these 2 fruit on it. Now these 2 fruit, I can see already there's some damage here on the bottom of this fruit, no damage on this one, and because of the way this is hanging, this fruit here actually has a nice red blush already started on it. So because this has damage on it, it's completely enclosed and not able to be seen by light, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna snip this guy. So again, hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna lift it up. I don't wanna take any leaves off. Right there, I'm gonna snip it. So that's a little tiny baby, beautiful looking apple, but not gonna make it this year. So down on the ground. So I've got 2 fruit here on that spur, I've got 2 fruit on this spur, and I've got 2 fruit here, each on their own spurs. You know, for now, I'm gonna leave these. I've got some small fruit here. These I'll probably wind up losing at some point in time, but I'm gonna leave that alone. So as I go back up here, I do the same thing on each one of these. I've got 3 beautiful looking fruit here, but size-wise, this top one is the smallest. Let's go ahead and take that one off. So I got 2 left there. This is 1 fruit on 1 spur here, 1 fruit on 1 spur here, I'm good. 1 fruit on 1 spur here, I'm good. I've got 3 fruit that are all coming off of what looks like is basically 1 spur. Now I know I'm gonna get full sun exposure here, full sun exposure here, and this one's gonna struggle. So that one I'm gonna take off. So that one's gone. And then coming all the way back here, staying on the same branch, I've got an open center. We talk about open centers on our tree to get even ripening, which means this guy, who normally would be in the middle of the tree, is gonna get nice full sun exposure here. And I've got one that's tucked way up in here that's a little bit smaller, a nice one here that's gonna get sun exposure from here. So I'm gonna go ahead and come in here, and I'm gonna lose that one now, down on the ground. So you can see I've started my thinning here. I think I'm gonna leave that alone for now. So first round of thinning on this branch is done, but what does that mean for Lori and I? We've got a lot more thinning to do on this tree today. So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Questions, comments, leave those in the comment section down below. Instagram and Facebook, if you're not following us there, you're missing out. We post content there you won't see here on the YouTube channel. Our Amazon shop, a free and painless way to support the work that we do here is to start your Amazon shopping through the link down below. We'd love it if you would help us there. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you.